today, I think even Mr. Corbyn was taken a bit by surprise by Mrs. May, and his words are quite hard to interpret. We are getting to the stage now where we're looking for the real meaning of events and phrases. And Mr. Corbyn saying that there wasn't as much change in Mrs. May as he expected, I think is a very interesting phrase. I think that what he would like personally is to somehow unite those forces in the House of Commons who want a compromise, a very soft Brexit. But the problem is, with talking to Mrs. May, he's got to try and work out what she's up to, because she's put down her red lines which don't suggest the possibility of a compromise Brexit. So I think Mr. Corbyn, like everyone else, would like to get a resolution to all this. But what he wants, least of anything, is to help Mrs. May basically push through the Commons a deal which he rejects and which the Commons itself has rejected 3 times.
Is the Speaker of the House, John Bercow, right to cast his vote the way he did to stop any further indicative votes?
Well, I should think that he did that with mixed feelings, because it's just a custom, it's just a convention that the Speaker casts his vote against any motion which results in a tie. It's just, it's often happened, in fact, against governments in the past, that the Speaker, whatever his or her personal feelings, has just got to do that. But again, given that the House of Commons felt that the indicative votes were helping progress towards a compromise Brexit, I think that that's another blow in the process, which I think was really going along very late in the day, but was making some constructive contribution, and it's rather put a stop. Parliament tonight obviously is voting on a bill, a piece of legislation that would prevent Britain leaving without a deal. However, you know, that really isn't a particularly constructive contribution, because we can only get any kind of extension if we can convince the European Union that we have something new to offer. So it's just a new version, I'm afraid, of the stalemate. Interesting things are happening. The parties, certainly the Conservative Party, lost 2 junior ministers today. In amongst all the other events, it's hard to remember that these things happened. But the Conservative Party is now closer than ever to civil war. On the surface, nothing seems to be changing, but the forces are gathering, I think, for something momentous to happen over the next week or so.
Now, let me probe you more on that idea of civil war within the Conservative Party. Does this whole Brexit affair basically spell for the Conservatives some really bad news, given the scale of the schism that Brexit has caused within Tory ranks?
Well, yes, I mean, there's an awful lot of ironies in this. One irony is that Mrs. May was a kind of a compromise in a very divided party. So it looked like she was the best option as Prime Minister. However, as soon as she hints at leaving, you immediately see the terrible scenarios that confront the party. It's more than likely that the party's grassroots members will ensure that her successor, if we ever get to that point, her successor will be a hardline Brexiteer. Now, it's still the case that the majority of Conservatives in Parliament are either Remainers or very soft Brexiteers. So you see, immediately, as soon as you put somebody at the top of that party who's very committed to one side rather than another, then you are unleashing all these forces of division. And it really is amazing to me that the Cabinet has stayed united for so long. That shows how reluctant they are to fire the first shot in what I think could even be a fatal civil war for the Conservative Party, given that the 2 wings are now fighting each other on an issue where it's so difficult to find common ground.